Hi everyone, back in the baker's today. Unfortunately there's no bread on the go, so I'll have to leave that alone, which ain't a bad thing. And I did come down here last night, if any of you saw, and I unloaded all my stuff and put it in, and was making sure I didn't forgot anything, but I did. I forgot my ceiling prop, so I had to walk down the road like a prat with a big ceiling prop in my hand, looking like some sort of madman. But I'm here now, I'm going to have a nice cup of coffee, and then I shall crack on. Right, first thing to do is get rid of these electrics out of the way. And I can't remember how they worked, so let's have a look. Right, that was that. That's just there, that's just there. There then. Actually, I better find out where the electric box is first. Is that it up there? Sockets, water, fridge, lights, lights shop. There we go. Lights shop. And I've got everything but my tester. What a prat I am. Lights rear. Right, how do I turn the lights on in the shop? Aha. Bear with me all. Bear with me. I've got everything you could possibly imagine in a van. But I haven't bought my tester. Right, switch them back on again. Make sure they're working. So you should see the lights coming on now down your end. Yeah, nice. Right, let's do that. Electric box, lights, shop, off. Right. Now I shouldn't get an electric shock and make my hair stick up. I wouldn't want that, would I? I wouldn't want that. Right. I don't remember doing all this last time. I must have done it because I fitted it up here, but I can't remember it. You know, sometimes when people ring you up, like if you've done some work for them, and it's about a year later, and they go, "Oh, do you remember you did our bathroom?" That, and you feel rude, but you think, I don't know, I haven't got a clue. That's a year ago. Unless I see it, I don't always remember it. But people just think that you can remember them. Right. Right, that's that one. Right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take these bulbs out because they're going to put a lot of extra weight on this, aren't they? Quite fancy bulbs as well. Right, let's take that one out. Let's take that one out. Right, and then just this one here. Yeah, alright, okay. I would have done this a year ago when I did all this, but I have no recollection of doing this. Alright. I wonder if I can. Shut back, it's only wire, isn't it? Right. It's only wire. It's only wire. Did I fill that with mastic? No, I can't remember. Right, okay. So let's take this bit of board that I put up there and see what's underneath, because I can't remember that either. There's crap above here. I did seal it all up with like cork or mastic as well, so it might need a little bit of. Alright, okay. Let's have a look. Blah. Oh yeah, it's not bad, not bad. Alright. I've definitely had a lot more water since last time, but I think that's all been done. So there we go. You can see the staining on that now, on the back of that board. Right, I can cover that. There we go. Oh god. Yeah. Actually, all these beams. Like, let me show you these. Let me show you these. Let me show you up there first. I'll tell you. So there was a roof leak up there. There's a little outlet there. One little flat roof above, and it obviously caused a load of leaking on here. So hence that. But yeah, that's right. I remember now. These beams that you can see running along here, they're just fake beams. These are. And then this is all fake. This is. I don't think this is in too good a nick. So anyway, we're going to take the ceiling down. We've got a little camera thing there. I don't know if anyone's watching. I'll give them a wave. So really, I think I'm going to leave that over that side. I won't get involved in there. So I'm just going to cut across here. Cut across there. Take this section out and reboard it. Because they were talking about potentially having a whole lot done at one time. But I don't think that's on the cards at the minute. So we'll just carry on with this plan. That's a nice bit of work. Look, the cable has been, doesn't go above, the cable is within. It's been skimmed, bonded into the plaster at that end. And now, see how easy it is to bloody go through cables and pipes. I mean, other trades don't do their job properly. Alright, let's just mark this. We'll get a nice straight cut into there. I just want to make sure there's no cables up there, and before I start running along that other saw. There's nothing there. And some sort of noggin there. A noggin the nog. Let's put the torch from the drill up there. Hold on. Nothing there. And nothing there. Right. No gold. So now that's all checked, I should just be able to run a handsaw cleanly along here now.
Without fear of cutting anything down.
What the hell? Oh, for fuck's sake, there's another cable there. I bet I've fucking gone through that. Oh, it's dead. Oh, shit myself then. There's another cable buried within the plaster. I haven't cut that through, have I? No. There's nothing on the end of it. It's only got a black and a red in it. You've got to be so careful when you're cutting through ceilings. I'm getting to the point now, I think I've got like a bit of an anxiety problem with all this. There's always something that happens. Like they're worrying about stuff that you wouldn't have given a toss about 20 years ago, but maybe it's just age. You know when you're a kid and you work for someone and you don't care, you just smash things down, rip it out. If it goes wrong, you're working for someone. Alright, so I know I've got that going on here with this cable as well. Who does that? Who buries a cable between two layers? Probably me, 30 years ago, that's who does it. Right, let's put a hole here. Oh, look, all that worrying, that's dead and all. That makes things a bit easier. Right, that's that section cut out there. We'll tidy all that up, we'll de-nail that in a minute. So we've got a nice square edge going on there. So now we'll do the same down to that beam there and see what we're left with.
I'll try and match it. It shouldn't be a problem. Just finish it rough.
Who remembers using the old Hessian scrim, eh? That took some covering, didn't it? There was none of that sticky scrim, sticking to whatever you want. You had to bed the Hessian in, and that was stick old stuff. And then you needed to obviously put enough coats or depth of coat on to cover that. So I've seen quite a few changes over the years with the materials and the way we do things. It was a hard game. I think today, like a lot of us plasterers work on our own, but maybe 40 years ago that wouldn't have been the case, because it was such a hard job. Just even mixing the stuff up was hard. So There's no way you could have been mixing and putting it on like we can today. You know, we just put a little whisk in the bucket, mix it up, and off we go again. You needed some proper mixing before electric whiskers, electric whiskers, before electric whisks came out. Everything was hard. Even the buckets, you know, you could only get a normal bucket. You couldn't get these great big tubs and things. Not that I remember anyway. So when you did mix plaster up, you could only mix up a bucket at a time, but it was a normal size bucket, you know, like what you call standard bucket. So you couldn't knock up tons and tons. You had to knock that up, chuck it on the board, and then go back and knock another one up. It was just hard work. I think it was the hardest labourer's job you could imagine, really. It was just physical. There was no machinery, not like even for a bricklayer's labourer. At least they had cement mixers back then. They could chuck a gauge in the mixer and let that do the work. But for a plasterer's labourer, there was nothing. It was all manual by us. And then you've got to try and learn that in between, you know, in between loading up your governor or a couple of blokes there on site. You had to try and make sure there was enough time. If you got ahead of them, then you could get into the back of a cupboard or a little downstairs toilet and you could start practicing. And so it was hard, you know. If you was lazy, it was not a job for you. So you know, 40 years on, whatever it is for me, I just like these little jobs. I don't mind a big job. I've got a big ceiling to do tomorrow, actually. But funny enough, it's a big ceiling, but it's not. It's probably only just over about 2.1, 2.2 high, so it's not that high really. So obviously I'll film that. But yeah, so I was just looking at the scrim, just cutting this old scrim out, this old Hessian scrim, and it just sort of brought me my mind back to the days of having this big scrim on a great big roll, and then having to go along and bed that in before you could then start skimming over the top. So you had to put it on really thick. Anyway, let's carry on with this. These are the little ways you can come unstuck with cutting things out. I know I've mentioned it a lot lately because I went for a pipe, but just for those of you that are not too experienced, but you know, you want to get into it and you're going to start cutting out ceilings at some point in your career, and not to keep harking back to the old days, but when we started out doing it, to cut ceiling down, I still try to keep fairly traditional really. I just use a Stanley knife and maybe a hand saw if I know I've got a clear run, like I am up there. You can run the hand saw along without any fear. But like with these multi-tools, two things really. Obviously they cut through things like butter. They're very noisy, so you can't really hear anything happening. But this is a prime situation. Now you'll be cutting this ceiling out like I am now, and you'll be running your multi-tool through it. And what you don't realise, that right underneath that ceiling line where you're cutting there with your multi-tool is an internal drain pipe lock. So you'll go through with your multi-tool, bang, 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 bang. Suddenly you've got to start joining pipes in the ceiling then. This is why I don't like using them things. I've resisted on buying. I've got a multi-tool, I've only got a plug-in one, but I've resisted on buying a cordless one, because the only reason I'd want to buy a cordless one would be for cutting out patches in ceilings really, because obviously it's easier, but it can cause you so much aggro. So just be aware if you are fairly new to this game and you see blokes on YouTube using their multi-tools, and you know, like we all do, we think, oh, he's doing it well, he's a good plasterer, we'll copy him. It isn't always that straightforward. There will be times when there will be wires, there will be pipes. Excuse me, who knows what there'll be. So yeah, I'd rather do the hard work and stay traditional with a Stanley knife really. At least you can sort of get a feel of what's going on. I'll only go bang once tonight. Out of the way. brought some timber along with me because I'm going to need to brace it across. I haven't got to, but it's just easier. When you are doing these sort of bracings with bits of timber, it's always easy if you can just get a few screws started before you get up there. Then you haven't got to try and hold the wood and start driving the screw in. If you can just get it already in there, make life a lot easier for you. He knows about me. Go on. One more in there. Okay, so we've got all that squared off and opened up now. I'll stick a few screws into this just to give this a little bit more strength to that joist there, although it's all over the place. At least we'll know that it's got some give in it, some strength in it. And then we can board this then. Drops something going on there, drops right back up there, but I'm going to need to put a real thick coat all over this first just to give it a flatten, and then I'll put another thin coat on and try and create a little bit of this texture on top of that. So I'll treat it like Artex. I'll flatten it off first and then put a thin coat on. So next thing I will do is have a good clear up whenever I am ripping down ceilings and plasterboarding. Before I even start thinking about plastering, once this section's done, this bit's done, I'll have a good clear up, a good sweep up, shake the sheets off, and then I'll start afresh as if it's a fresh new job. I can't plaster with all that underneath me and stepping on this and crunching it up. And also if your plaster does drop, it's dropping into this and stuff. So yeah, always have a good clear up, and your head will be right for the next part of the job then. I've knocked that up fairly stiff, that first one. I've got quite a bit of depth to make up in here, and I want it as thick as it can get it, really. So I can chuck that on, let that go, and then once that's ready I can put a sort of normal coat on and just try and match this pattern. It really hasn't got a match at all, but it's just, I don't know, something interesting to do, well, for me. Just something a bit different, trying to match something. I could leave it flat, he wouldn't be bothered. He just wants it repaired, but if I can get it matching, it's just a little bit of roughness, really. It looks like it's been, I don't think there is any style to it, it's just been laid on and left. Looks like bonding. Looks like bonding has been laid on top of an original ceiling and just left. So let's see. Let's just get on with it, eh? I'll give it a bit of a flattening, and then all I'm going to do is the same again, and I'm just going to leave it like that. I know I've showed you before, I'll show you again, so you can see the textures that's already on there. So once that's picked up a bit and I can get another load on it, I'll just chuck it on like that, and that's literally how I will leave it. So I'm just brushing this in just to give it a bit of flatness, ready for that top coat, and it'll just give it a bit of key as well. Right, that's good. We'll let that go for another 10 minutes or so. Let it pick up a bit, and then I'll chuck that top coat on them. Second bucket of gear's knocked up now. We just mixed it up with a dirty old water. No need for clean water in that. So there we have it. It's just literally gone past 12 o'clock, and that's all done. Sort of made a bit of a pattern that will match this hopefully when it's dry. Rough as you like, rough as you like. And that should paint in quite nicely really, so I'll paint that again in a couple of days. I'll show you the finished article at some point, maybe attach it to another job. Right, that's it. I'm going to go back homeward bound, and then I've got another little job to go and sort out.